Welcome to the Gaudium et Spes podcast, where every other week we bring you Catholic teachings and stories of faith from people throughout the Diocese of Pensacola-Tallahassee. Now, here are your hosts, Susanne McNinch and Chez Filippini.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Gaudium et Spes podcast. As always, check out our last episode where we had a very special one where Bishop Bill talked about his newest letter on restored order. It was an incredible episode, so please check it out. It's all about evangelization throughout our diocese, and it builds upon his initial letter in the diocese. So thank you. But today we have a very, very special guest with us, and she's just an incredible leader in our community, and I'm so excited for you all to get to know her. Mrs. Julie Baltz. Julie, welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hey, Julie.
Hey, glad to be here.
It's good to see you. We've gotten to know each other over the years through marriage and family life work, and we'll hear about that today a little bit. But you're a St. Anne's parishioner here around town, correct?
In Gulf Breeze.
Not born and bred Gulf Breezer?
No, but actually we moved there when I was just 10.
Okay.
So been there a while.
Yeah.
So you founded the town along with Monsignor, probably.
You're putting me in the same category of age as Monsignor. That's nice.
It's kind of special to have a St. Anne parishioner. The Pensacola News Journal just featured a retirement, kind of a dedicated article there as we did in the Compass. It's a special time in Gulf Breeze as Monsignor Hunt moves into retirement. So anyhow, it'll be great to hear part of that story and this whole thing. We always start out, Susanne and I on this podcast, with the first line from Gaudium et Spes, the document, which, if you'll allow me, goes, "The joys, the hopes, the griefs, and anxieties of the men of this age, especially those who are poor or in any way afflicted, these are the joys, the hopes, the griefs, and anxieties of the followers of Christ." So at this point, we always ask our guests, what's going on? What are your joys, hopes, griefs, anxieties, anything big happening in your life these days?
Well, I got to drive a tractor for the first time in my life.
Right, what are we talking here?
I can tell you it was really kind of fun, but it was even more fun watching my husband drive this tractor because he fell in love. So it was just so empowering to watch him, and I think I might have fallen in love a little bit more with him watching him on this tractor.
There's a country song coming to mind right now.
Yes, I know. No, it's terrible, but that's where my life is going right now. It's beautiful.
Well, that's a new one.
That is a new one. I know. You don't have much of a comeback to that one, do you?
That's awesome. Tractors are great.
Yeah.
We'll hear more. I think there's a trailer that you guys have some additional land. Is it up in Alabama, you said?
Yeah, we bought a little place, and we're kind of just waiting for the Holy Spirit to show us what to do with it. It's got fencing. It used to be a pig farm. Mm. Oh, wow. And so it's got fencing where we could have animals, but we've got to see how that happens, starting, I guess, with a tractor.
Oh, man. That's the first. Yeah, your first step towards being a bona fide farmer is getting a tractor. That's really cool.
I know.
All right.
Love it.
Suzanne, we haven't talked in a while.
Yeah,
what's going on?
You've done a lot of episodes without me lately.
I know we've been missing you.
Yeah,
big time.
Well, thank you. I missed you too. So, no, everything's good. My parents come down to the Gulf Coast here every summer, so they're in Biloxi for a couple months, and I went over and saw them last weekend. So it was really good to just spend time with them. I went alone, didn't take my husband or my kids, and so it was kind of cool because, it's hard to just get time alone with your parents as they get older, and so we were able to reminisce quite a bit and talk about where we had lived and the things we had done, and I learned a little bit more about them and their upbringing, and so it was really special. Thank you. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Conversations with parents. Yeah. And learning a little bit about who they are as human beings instead of as mom and dad.
Exactly.
That's always terrifying.
Well, what about you? What's going on in your life?
Oh, man. A lot. I think the highlight recently, just like a lot of other people, I think the ordinations, the 4 ordinations in our diocese it was an amazing 2 days for Derek and I in communications and his amazing wife, Samantha. We were, we got to be a bird on the, bird on the fence? Bird's eye view. We got to have a bird's eye view of just covering the whole thing. St. Paul's was packed, standing room only. It was incredible. The 4 priests and their families are all beloved by communities across our diocese, especially here. We got that's a lot. So to Father Chris Holcomb, Father William Gibson, Father Peter Jutras, and Father Grant Senate, congratulations. And we can't wait to see what you do with your ministry. And we're so blessed by this occasion.
Yeah, and you and Derek did a fantastic job on just a short video. So if you missed going to the ordination, please check it out. It's on our website. It's
3.5 minutes of your life.
Yeah.
You'll never get back. Oh, man. Well, Julie, like I said, we've gotten to know each other over the years, and you're in our diocesan natural family planning video. I think you've done stuff for the Compass before, but to our audience here today, who the heck are you? What are you doing here? Tell us about your upbringing, your background, and such, and yeah.
Oh my gosh, who am I? I would probably just start with I might be God's favorite daughter. But I shouldn't really tell you that, but no, that's probably what I think of most of the time. I feel so overly gifted. So I'm a mom of 8. I'm a wife to Tom. He's wonderful. And I'm a physician assistant that has always felt particularly drawn to just the human body, especially with the aspects of fertility. Mm-hmm. So, I guess that's who I am.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned earlier that you moved here when you were 10. So where were you born? Where did you grow up? Where are your roots at?
Yeah, so I lived in Arkansas when I was really little, but my parents divorced when I was really young. I was only 8. So my mom moved here to Gulf Breeze, and she actually, she picked Gulf Breeze because she said any community that will put the churches on the supporting outsides, and then the schools there, and puts the ballpark in the middle. That's where I want to live.
Get the churches out of the middle.
So no, on the out, protecting on the outside. Yeah. So I grew up Baptist, and there's a Baptist church at the end of the peninsula, and then there's St. Anne's on the other side. Wow. But we came probably for the ballpark.
Very nice. So you grew up going to, did you, you went to Gulf Breeze High School, I'm assuming? Yes?
Yeah, my children would probably be horrified, but I went to Gulf Breeze Elementary, Middle, and High. And I did end up transferring to Tate at the end of my high school career, but grew up Baptist, was active there in Gulf Breeze for a while, but sort of lost it along the way, had sort of a difficulty understanding this loving father figure, which wasn't present in my life. So I sort of had this falling away, and did undergrad here at UWF and did my master's at South Alabama, but actually got roped into the church after I started dating Tom. So we met, and he was like, hey, if you want to go to Mass. And so we went to Mass together, and I can still remember it was actually not St. Anne's, it was St. Sylvester, the little bitty one that's not there anymore. Wow. And I remember stepping in, and remember I wasn't going to church for probably the past 8 years or so. Anyway, the first thing I see is Mother Mary, and just sort of felt her say, oh, I'm so glad you're here, and just felt her wrap me up. And so I really feel that was God reaching out in any way that he could grab me, hey, you understand a loving mother. Here she is, And from that moment, I was just hooked. And so it didn't hurt that I was pretty crazy about Tom too, but so actually entered the church and through RCIA, and so was wanting to do that even before we got married. So that was our beginnings. Cool thing about our marriage, though, is that I might have learned more about our Catholic faith when he and I decided to do Marriage Encounter, Worldwide Marriage Encounter, and just totally fell in love with that, how God actually loves me more through Tom. And I just super understood that, could really, really, really understand his love through that. And so that was really powerful for us. Had some of our highs and our lows through some of that. You know, I can remember even one of our biggest fights ever was on a marriage encounter weekend.
Sounds right. That's what it's supposed to do, you know?
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. That's amazing. So, and Tom, was he, when you met him, was he like totally on fire for the faith, going to like Mass every Sunday to kind of grow together? Or you said he kind of pulled you in?
Yeah, he did. It was just a part of his life already. He grew up in Nashville and went to Father Ryan there. And it just was, I wouldn't say that he was super, super on fire, because he is today. So I can compare. But yeah, that was a part of our life from dating.
Okay. Wow. So you guys got married, you entered the church, and as normally happens, 8 kids follow. And you said your oldest is
20s. You have to think of the year, right? So he's 20. He's turning 27 this year. Yep.
Okay. And, you know, that's my first, when I think we met back in 2017 early or something like that. I was like, okay, 8 children and just kind of involved in the faith and everything. Usually that kind of is like super, super, super duper, duper, duper Catholic. Is that something that you had always desired, a large family experience, or just kind of like, you know, whatever God gives me?
Well, when we were dating, I think we were thinking maybe 4, 4 kids would be good. And we just both really had this feeling, even when we were dating, we knew that kids were going to be a big part of our life. But I think we just had a bigger feeling of like, God's going to do this. You know, He's really going to do this in our life, and we're not going to get in the way. Of course, you know, the first 4 came pretty quickly. So after that, we were like, wait, hold on, God, are you sure you know what you're doing? You know, but of course He did. But it wasn't until after those first 4 that we actually learned about any type of natural family planning at all. That was kind of a good thing to learn that. Of course, I'm a physician assistant. I've worked in family practice since 1997.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, my master's thesis was called Fertility Awareness for Family Practice.
Okay.
That's cool.
And then I wasn't able to do anything with it. Nothing. Wow. In the family practice setting, I didn't have any tools at all in my toolbox. Like, I hadn't officially gone through any like Creighton training or Billings training or anything. And so when people would come into the clinic, it would be like, well, we have the birth control and we have the people that can teach you at church. But if they if they weren't Catholic, they were like, and so there weren't really many tools available back then.
Wow. That's, yeah.
This is kind of the source of our initial conversations as we got to know each other, is like, so this vocation to the physician assistant calling alongside your vocation. And you kind of mentioned like you weren't able to do anything with it. Were you always working as soon as you graduated with your master's, or did you just re-enter the working world, I guess, in recent years?
No, yeah. So I actually was in the same clinic from 1997 till 2025. Okay. Oh, I know. It's beautiful. Yeah. I always wanted to be with our people. I always wanted to be in the community. And so, our bodies are so beautiful. God is such a genius. It just really is. And people are so beautiful too. So I always worked. I had a wonderful babysitter. God just put the best people in my life to let me keep working. I moved it down through the years, though. Like, I think there was a period of time when I worked maybe only 1 day a week, but just really had so much help.
But through it all, you were able to balance both being a mom, a wife, and being a professional. That's just fantastic. I mean, many of us with no children or fewer children have a tough time, balancing all of that. But the Holy Spirit was definitely in you and watching over you for sure.
Oh yeah, he totally made it happen. Like, I wouldn't say I was the best mom through all that time, but like, I think I might have tried to be the best that I could be in the moment, but it was pretty chaotic, but it's so fun, you know, like he's gonna put in front of you what he really needs you to do in that moment anyway. So if we just do what he puts in front of us, I think it'll all be okay.
Yeah.
So, I think a lot of people, when they discern what job they're going to pursue or like what their job is going to be like and stuff, they think about, what am I good at? What kind of money can I make? What's going to impact my family life? Where can I live? And that sort of thing. And knowing you you definitely have seen it as a point of like, this is where I can do the work of the Lord, is in and through my profession. Yeah. So I don't know if you've got stories or memories from over the years of like the privileged place of a healthcare provider who lives the faith and like what kind of impact you've been able to have on people. Just an overview and any kind of anecdotes you can offer in that regard.
Oh, it's all such a privilege just because it's so intimate. It's your body that you're allowing someone else to discuss and touch, and even, it's so intimate. And so such a honored profession to get to enter into that with people where they bring to you sometimes some of the scariest things in their lives, their vulnerabilities for sure. And we can't always make that better, but you can be there with them and give good advice. It seems like, I don't know, I think God just sort of led me there in a way because my brain is so simple. Like I could definitely not be like an engineer like my son. And I have to have things really simple for me to understand them. And so when you think about what your body was designed to do, then it makes things simple, like I have swollen tonsils. Well, that God designed that for you so that you can fight off this illness, that your body is supposed to do that. And so just the understanding. And then when you explain it to a person, he or she says, oh, okay. And anxiety goes down. And then sometimes you have a moment where you say, you were designed for this. The intention of this system, of this part of your body, was to do this. And if we protect that the way your body was designed to do, you'll be healthier. And so then you can even say, gosh, isn't your body amazing? You were created so wonderfully.
Wow.
And then sometimes the conversation goes further and sometimes it doesn't.
Oh, I'd love to have you as my PA. So you've just got an incredible bedside manner, and I think your compassion and your love for just people in general just comes through. So
thank you.
Yeah, that's really neat.
Yeah, it's interesting. We all love our healthcare providers. Sometimes you get the treatment of, all right, I'm part of the checklist today. Right. I'm part of the rounds. And I totally understand, when none of us have ever been perfect in all of our professional interactions and stuff. But yeah, that sort of, you're right. People come to you in that, like, sometimes people, their most vulnerable moment of their life is like that room, that diagnosis, that conversation. And it's just like, I got nothing, and that need to be encountered with compassion, excitement, even, just care is just so necessary. I don't know if you want to, again, we love our doctors. Is there a privilege of being a PA over and against having the big MD next to your name or whatever the specialty is? Yeah. Tell us about that.
Yeah. Absolutely. So PAs were made to work with physicians. And so that's a team thing. And that's just great. There's everybody works better in a team, right? Less mistakes are made, and somebody's got your back. So I love my field. I wouldn't have done it any differently.
Very nice.
Okay. All right. Well, 1997 to 2025, things have changed, and you've gone in the direction more of what you mentioned earlier, fertility awareness, and taking your skills over there. So, yeah, and you said the first 4 came and then you encountered this. So, and obviously in growing up, you wouldn't have been exposed to this, just like so many other people, like this idea of natural family planning, fertility awareness. Tell us about you and Tom and encountering this teaching and this reality and how it's grown on you since then.
Yeah. So, it really is a tool that we need to have. And sometimes I see people sort of not want to access it because our church offers it. And they'll say, oh, that's just what my church wants me to do. And I'll say, we really need to take a step back. It's really way more intuitive than that. It's really about the body's function. And so the term natural family planning to me is just understanding how your body is working. And so for Tom and I sort of had this like, well, I already know some things about hormones. I can tell you what FSH does and all that, but I didn't understand how to use it in our marriage until we sought out a teacher. And then I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I didn't know this sooner. Like all medical clinicians should learn this in school. This is amazing. And then of course, you know, once your eyes are opened, you never want them shut again. And so I just needed more and more and more. And so we were sort of empowered in our marriage now, like, hey, now we understand this. And this is so beautiful. Look, this is cool. And really cool things happen within a marriage when you have no secrets and when you know each other so deeply. I mean, you can't hide from each other when it's that important. And so that ends up running into the rest of your marriage, like little things that you might have, you know, sort of left out. Now you don't need to leave that out because he knows me so fully. And that's what I've always wanted anyway. I've wanted to just live so fully, like, God, bring it on. And so I'm not going to hold myself back from God. I'm not going to hold myself back from my husband. And so I really think that after we learned that our whole mindset sort of changed. It wasn't just about understanding my hormones. It was just about understanding me and the empowerment and the respecting the body. And I mean, just grew from there. The understanding was so empowering.
Over the years, in knowing people who've encountered NFP, I've never known a person to be like, well, man or woman, who's like, I wish I didn't know that. You know, I wish I didn't understand like the fullness of the female fertility cycle as a husband or as a person myself. Everyone comes away with a genuine sense of like fascination, essentially. You know, that is like a fearful, wonderful design that that invites us, and then it does pervade other parts of our life. And just to clarify, Julie, you said you knew the things that were being talked about, like hormones and things like that, from your medical education, but that wasn't taught to you when you were, you know, like the idea of like fertility awareness isn't part of standard curriculum as a physician or something like that.
No, it definitely wasn't.
Okay.
Not at all.
Is it in the curriculum nowadays, though? Are people talking about that a little bit more?
Hopefully. Yeah. I mean, it's been a while since I've been in college, but there's programs that are really trying to educate and say, hey, this should be in the curriculum. And there are some elective curriculum that they can add. Facts About Fertility offers things like that. And med students can take electives. So like I offer an elective for Florida State FSU PA students, and so they can choose to come and learn. But I don't think it's widely taught just in like biology.
Okay.
Unfortunately, it should.
We should change that.
I know.
Well, part of your mission now is with this organization, FEMM, and maybe at this point, sometimes in our little world, we kind of do buzzwords like NFP and fertility awareness and this method, that method. So there's methods of knowing essentially fertility, right? And there's different kind of markers and different methodologies in tracking those markers. But essentially, we're talking about tracking the female fertility cycle. And then the group you're part of is called FEMM, which maybe you could tell us a little bit about. What's their mission? What sets them apart from other female fertility? It's got a cool name.
It does. So essentially, it's all the same knowledge of empowering her to understand what her body is doing. So through different biomarkers, she can understand, oh, my estrogen is rising. Oh, my progesterone is rising. And those she can see in her real life, And so those changes, as she notices them, she needs to put them, or the couple needs to, somehow in like a graph or a chart or an app so that they can look at it and go, okay, today we're fertile and this is what we want to do in our marriage, versus today is a not fertile day, so that it can empower them to make the decisions about what they want for next. And so every method, I guess, the charting looks a little different, but it's really all the same. It's just almost like different languages that you can learn to understand all of them. So I would say there's not really any one universal language, but FEMM to me is probably the most universal because it encompasses different, you can track mucus, you can track body temperature, you can track LH. So basically, once I realized the beauty and the power of understanding the charting in my own life, I wanted to use it in the clinic and started reaching out to different education models, like who can teach me how to use this in the clinic. And so Billings offers some, Marquette offers some, Fertility offered some, Creighton, and I just tried to do those as I could in my career. And it wasn't until I got to go to the FEMM's medical master class that I really was empowered with all the tools I needed in the clinic. So like you could see things like, oh, this looks like a progesterone deficiency, and this might be part of why you had a miscarriage, but all I really know what to do is to add progesterone. It wasn't until I got to do the FEMM education that I was taught how to figure out why she was progesterone deficient, what lab test to order, that sort of thing. And so it just was so empowering, so much more than anything I'd ever encountered. And so now in the timeline, we're entering into COVID and things are starting to go online, right? And while I was working in the clinic, FEMM approached me and said, hey, we're going to offer telehealth so that women can continue to get access to care. And so I did start doing some telehealth, and it's just amazing. It's so beautiful to be able to help couples where they are. And it might even be better over the computer because they're so at ease. They're in their own living room and so I mean, that's important. People need to feel at ease. And so now I work just for FEMM. So all my practices over telehealth. And we see the panel has, I think, about 6 clinicians, and we cover the whole United States.
Wow. If a couple is interested in learning more about this, how do they start this process, or how do they get more information?
Oh my gosh, it's so easy to get started. And I don't really care what method a female uses or the couple, it just needs to work for them. So I usually will start out like, hey, there are 3 medically reliable biomarkers: the cervical mucus, as discovered from outside the body temperature, and LH strips or urine testing. Which one of those sounds fun to you? What do you think you could do easiest? And then when they say, oh, well, I like cervical mucus, then I'll say, well, you're going to be attracted to the Creighton way of teaching or the FEMM way of teaching or the Billings. And then I say, go look it up. But the FEMM app is free. And so I sometimes will go, download this app right now and see if you can get started, and then you can understand more about it. I never tell a couple just to use an app, though, because it's so important that they understand that fully, that once they get started, they really need to reach out to a teacher. So teachers can be found at their prospective places. Ours is femhealth.org. There's teachers there, but Creighton has specific Creighton teachers. Marquette has specific Marquette teachers, and so on. And that's why we have Chez, because he's listed them on our website.
And just correct them on them. I got to do drag and drop, and you guys have to actually do all the instructing and teaching couples. That's fascinating. This is not just fertility awareness is definitely like the main focus here, but these types of things that you track in fertility awareness can also help you learn, like you said, other ailments you might be having or other health deficiencies. Can you tell us more about how this kind of unlocks a whole, that word holistic is overplayed maybe, but tell us more about that.
You do not want to get me started.
Go.
You will have to have me back another time because what started out as, so actually FEMM was started from a World Youth Alliance when they were looking at the injustices of the world. One of the injustices was female health care. There is not enough offered for women. And so Anna Halpine, who is our CEO, basically searched who are the researchers that are trying to practice medicine in a holistic way that is honoring our original design. And so she found Dr. Vigil in Chile, and they developed the RHRI, which is our research institute, and they developed these protocols to sort of guide clinicians into if you see bleeding all month long, these are the things you need to think about. It could be thyroid, it could be this. And so it started out as sort of rectifying problems with ovulation, but has turned into so much more because guess what? If you fix that because she has insulin resistance, when you fix her insulin resistance, now you've decreased her risk for heart disease and cancers and dementia. So it's just so all-encompassing. So it really is very holistic care.
Fascinating.
Yeah, I don't want to dunk on men. Sometimes the male approach to providing a solution is somewhat tunnel visioned and fix the problem, medicine or procedure or something like that. Maybe a little less kind of that broader patient. Is there something to that there's kind of maybe female healthcare needs a female perspective and an attentiveness on that whole thing? This is getting into the esoteric world. But it seems like this is something that's specifically in God's design of women as women. It can only be accounted for when you look at the whole picture, I guess you would say.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
You're not saying men aren't good
No.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it is, I would say that it's kind of nice when she doesn't even have to spit out all the words. She can say something like, well, it's kind of like, and I'm like, oh yeah, it's like, and she's like, yeah, you get it.
I mean, there's a comfort, especially in a young woman, I would say, going to another woman and asking those kind of questions rather than going to, especially an older male who may look like their father. I don't know of many young girls that ask their father these types of questions or divulge this kind of information about themselves. So I can understand. I think it's beautiful.
It's awesome. Julie, looking at the future of especially, people coming into the healthcare world and understanding maybe words of advice to somebody, maybe Catholics especially who are pursuing their vocation, whatever specialty they're going to choose in the healthcare world, whatever, oncology or pediatrics, whatever it is, kind of how can your role as a healthcare expert be something for the gospel, be something for transforming lives?
Well, I think all of our careers are like that. And if we just kind of do what's in front of us, I think the Holy Spirit's going to make those opportunities available. So healthcare just happens to be that place of intimacy. So, but I think all of us really do that. Just don't ignore it.
Right.
You got to take that extra step to say, yeah, your body was meant to do this, and we're going to support it in that, and or even just maybe taking the time to say to put yourself in his or her shoes and say, gosh, I would be really nervous right now. And you can even, I used to have a button in the clinic that said, yes, we have time to pray, just to ask, but honestly, not a lot of people really asked me. Like I can remember being asked to pray maybe less than 10 times. But you can do that too. But honestly, just the authentic, hey, I'm here with you and I understand this is prayer in and of itself.
Yeah, good. Well, where do you see yourself in like 5, 10, 15, 20 years? Are you still going to be doing all of this? Is there more you want to learn? Is there more things you want to do in this field?
Oh my gosh, there is so much more, y'all. There is so much more. So yeah, no, why would I want to stop offering this now that I've like finally started to learn? Brain health is huge in my mind. Like, and I know we can only pay attention to what, I really feel like God's going to guide me where he wants me to, but brain health, especially the adolescent brain, so beautiful, and how important it is in the development and how important the hormones are in development, and how this can affect them lifelong, and how interuterine life, the things that babies are exposed to in utero have certain patterns that we actually use when we're diagnosing. Like I actually asked that, like, tell me about your mom's pregnancy. Did her blood pressure go up? Were you full term? How much did you weigh? And then understanding what she was exposed to in her uterine helps me to decide what to do. It's just all connected.
Yeah, that's so beautiful because it truly talks about that it's a life inside of you from the moment of conception. And so it just harks back to our roots and our beliefs and who we are. And I think that's gorgeous.
And you can prove it to them. You can say, you see this hormone? This is elevated now because of this exposure, or wow. And we got to do something, or your daughter's going to have that too,
Yeah. I just want to point out, you heard it here first, the adolescent brain is beautiful. That is, some of us who've been involved in ministry or education over the years be like, is that true, Julie? Or just raise kids. No, that's a lot of people are afraid of that moment of life, and like, there's so much going on, how do we even, but it's like, it's a critical time to be extra attentive. That's really cool.
Yes.
Man. I just kind of want to do like a science podcast series now. Like all we do is like the intersection.
He's always been interested.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, like I would say, just speaking from my own experience, like my wife, meeting her when she was in high school and then in college, she was always a huge pro-life advocate. She just was very, very convicted about like, we this is such a thing. So she marched for life and working for Open Door Women's Clinic when she was in college. And I was like absolutely supportive, but it didn't become real to me until like when we were engaged and I learned NFP. Like I didn't, that piece of it, the science, biological, the whole picture just solidifies so much of what we try and communicate and talk about, that the world looks at us and is like, what are you talking about? It's like, it's all connected. So, and like I said earlier, and you've seen, especially you, Julie, it's like people are always receptive to this. Like we're still this fascination in this, even if we're not like, science nerds or anything like that, we recognize the beauty of the design, and it genuinely inspires like awe and reverence and a desire to know more and to appreciate it more, and to, that's certainly been exemplified. I know Tom has accompanied you on some instructions sometimes here in the past, and put his dipped his toe in his water. Has he? Right?
Yeah, we should have had him here today, and he could have told you more about the tractor.
Oh man, that's great. Well, this has been great. Thanks for taking the time to share this with us.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yes, please. It was a pleasure to meet you.
It was really fun.
You're real inspiring, so thank you. And I hope you're inspiring to the viewers out there. I know you will be. And if anybody is interested in knowing more information, please check out our diocesan website or go to
FEMMhealth.org.
FEMMhealth.org. Perfect.
Yeah, we're doing this episode, by the way, guys. It's not NFP month now, but next month. July is sort of NFP awareness. We have a week in it surrounding the release of Pope Paul VI's encyclical Humanae Vitae, which we always highlight. So this is a little bit of a teaser for that. So yeah, ptdiocese.org/NFP, FEMMhealth.org. And then there's tons of other websites and places you can go. Just search fertility awareness, natural family planning, and you will find what you're looking for. So once again, Julie, thanks for taking the time with us. It's been great.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Safe trip back across the 3-mile bridge. Well, guys, thanks for joining us. We'll be back here in 2 weeks' time with another episode on Catholic social teaching with Dr. Luke Arredondo. We'll see you then.
Thank you for tuning in today to the Gaudium et Spes podcast. If you would like to know more about our podcast, please visit our website, gaudiumetspes.net, or go to ptdiocese.org and click the button that says podcast. If you listen to the audio version from an app such as Apple Podcast, Spotify, or iHeartRadio, be sure to rate, review, and comment. If you watched us on YouTube, be sure to like and subscribe or leave us a comment there as well. Thank you for joining us.